Chris here. Thanks so much for coming by. We're going to have a really enjoyable time creating this wonderful building. Windows, doors, trees, branches, bushes, fences, stone walkway, gorgeous three-dimensional quality, and we're also going to use the glazing technique, which is a great technique for any artist, especially if you're just beginning. This is an extreme beginner's video, so we're going to be using the Prang Oval 16 set. You're going to see how we do all of the layout for this with our pencil drawing, and then we'll get into the painting after that, doing everything in a simple step-by-step approach. So get ready, grab all your gear, your pencils, your paper, your paints, your rulers, and we'll get started in a second or two. All right, so we just saw the finished painting, and we're going to get started with our pencil drawing. And sometimes it can really be helpful if you're using maybe some rulers, and sometimes you'll have stencils and things like that. I know some of you probably have stencils and rulers, but I'm a big fan of doing a really good layout of your painting before you start. And if you can use a ruler or do some basic roughing out of dimensions on your paper, so this way, you might say to yourself, well, where do I want to put the bottom of this building, this building that we're going to create? Where do we want to put the bottom? Do we want to put it like 1/3 of the way up the bottom of the building, or halfway up, or maybe just at the very, very bottom? So these are considerations you're going to make. But right away, we can ourselves here, we're just going to take the time out and say, all right, let's kind of take the idea. I'm going to make this painting maybe, I think I'm going to have to use a different ruler to get a little more, so I'll use a larger ruler here just to get a feel for this. So this is 7 inches. Maybe I'll do some metric. Metric seems to be a little bit quicker for me, even though I use the standard measuring. For my, in America we use the standard inches. But sometimes using the centimeters and millimeters can be quick too. So I'll use that maybe just for, so we have 18 inches here for our canvas, or our watercolor paper, 18 inches. I'd like to make it quarters. So if we divide a quarter, half would be 9. And so 9 and 9 is 18. And then if we go half of 9, that would be 4.5. So 4.5. And then if we come down here, we can go 4.5 centimeters. And that'll give us an exact perfect quarters. So if we're talking like cooking, we're going to, 1/4 cup of this, 1/2 cup that, 3/4 cup of this. Next thing you know, we're making a recipe. Well, the same thing with this here, with our watercolor paper. We're going to make this like a recipe. We're going to go quarters. So we're going to go 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 to the top. So then what we're going to do is I'll do the same thing over here. I'll transfer these lines. You can use a T-square. If you have a T-square, that really helps. I tend to have quite a bit of rulers and things like that that I've purchased over a long time, 15, 20 years now, painting, and as a professional artist, I buy a little bit of things here and there. So now if I use a T-square like this, I don't have to remeasure over here. I just take my T-square ruler like this, and then I just hold it. Now the only thing with this is already I'm getting my ruler mixed up with my palette, which can be a problem, where I start to get some paint on my ruler, and the next thing you know, the ruler gets onto the paper. So what I'll do is I'll take a paper towel and go over the top of my palette like that. That will be much better. So try to recall that sometimes when you're using rulers and things, it might get mixed up with your palette, and I'm just mentioning it because it just happened to me, and that's not a good thing. So here we go. We have our quarter mark right here. So I'll just do that. I'll use my T-square and slide it right on the end of my paper, which is, I'm using block paper, as you can see. This is a block paper. Arches, rough, block paper. It's the orange cover. And so now we have 4/4 here. Now what you can do is once you get your 4/4 like this, you could kind of take some kneaded eraser or an eraser and just maybe soften up those lines a little bit. I do them so you can see them on video here, but now I'm going to try to just, kind of lighten them up so they're just barely visible. But that should be fine. But I know you did see those when we were penciling them in. So now you see I've done 4/4 here, 4 lines. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the bottom of the building we're creating here, and you saw the finished painting just at the beginning of the video. I'm going to take the bottom of the building, I'm going to make it approximately 1/4 of the way up. So that means what I'm going to do is just remember that this light pencil line here, this first quarter, that's the bottom of the building. And then from there, I'm going to make that front doorway, the front door of this building, starting at the bottom of this first quarter line here, and then going up this way. And I can kind of see that the doorway is going to be about to the halfway point. Now, the only other thing I wanted to mention is I want to make sure that my door is not exactly center. I want to make my door a little bit off center. So what I'm going to do is find out where the center is on this paper. So this is 26 centimeters. Half of 26 is, half of 26 would be 18. No, it wouldn't be 18. Let me do some math quick here. Half of 26, 13. So 13 is halfway. So 13 is halfway. So let's make our doorway to the left of that center line. I think that'll be perfect. So let's do that. I'm going to take my doorway here and make it to the left of that center mark, like that. And we're just going to make a doorway, and let's even measure it. So maybe we'll just work with measurements here, so you can kind of work right along with me. And if you have your ruler, hopefully you have a ruler that has the centimeters. If not, you can transfer it into inches. So maybe if we were to transfer this over to inches, each one of these lines here for the quarter lines is 1 3/4 inches. So if you don't have the metric measurements on your ruler, then you would just use the standard American, which is 1 3/4 inches, 1 3/4 inches, 1 3/4, and that gives you the quarters. So your quarter divisions on your paper. And then from there, if you're to go halfway across the paper in inches, well, this paper is a little bit better than 10 inches, 10 1/4 inches. So that means it would be 5 1/8 inch. So 5 1/8 inch is the center mark for the standard measuring, American standard. And then again, we went over that with the centimeters. If you're going, the center mark for the centimeters is 13. 13 centimeters is a center line. And that's pretty simple. And then when we'll just make the doorway over, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to really measure it. It's just you make about the width of a door, a good sized door here. And we come down and we make and you can also use a ruler and keep it really nicely plumb, the line, by using the T-square if you want. You can use that T-square to get your lines. You can use it on the top or the bottom. You get your lines. So we'll make that doorway about that much, that wide. If you think it was a little bit too wide, the door, then you could slim it down a little bit. We'll take it and just trim it down a little bit, make it look a little thinner. Maybe like that. So I'll go a little bit off the center line, and I think that looks pretty good. It was a little bit too wide, I think. There we go. All right, so we have the door here, the main door into the building, and this is like, I would consider this like maybe this could be like an apartment building where you walk in, and this is like a open air foyer that you can walk in. So it doesn't necessarily have a door on the outside here. You walk in to the building, and then there's doorways to the different apartments inside there. So this is like an open doorway for the building, which is really nice. And so we'll have that. And then we're going to let's do the windows. Might as well work on the windows. But before we do the windows, let's get the end of the building, the edge of the building here on the right-hand side, because I think that's going to look good if we can make like an edge of the building over here, and then the rest of the building over here is going to be kind of over to the left, and we won't see the other side of the edge of the building. So over here, though, we want to see the edge of the building. So I'm just going to bring in the edge of the building. I don't know, maybe let's take a look here. From the edge of the paper, I'm going to come in about 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches. So 4 centimeters is the same as 1.5 inches for the standard, American Standard, or for the metric, it's 4 centimeters. So we come in 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches, and then we take our T-square and we come down this way and just make a line down here to the 1/4 mark there. So now we kind of have that. So now we have really a beautiful plumb line for the edge of our building, the end of our building there, the outside corner of the building, right down to the ground level there, and the ground level goes right across here, and we have our doorway in. So now we're really cooking. Now I'm going to take my kneaded eraser here. I'm hoping this is going to be helpful to maybe work with a ruler and use some measurements and things like that. That can be very helpful. A lot of times I mostly draw by eye. You know, I kind of just scale things as I go with my vision. But this is really a fun way to do it too. And if you're maybe not so keen to create your drawings by eye, you can always use a ruler and you get great results. You can always scale your drawings with rulers and measurements from photographs and books and things like that. And we'll do more videos about this too. So if you like this video and you think it's really helpful, like doing things with a ruler and scaling things with measurements, let me know, because when I'm doing my architectural type paintings like this, when we're doing buildings, seascapes, city scenes, street scenes, buildings, things like this, structures. If you like this style of using the ruler more, and you think that's a better fit for what we're doing here on my channel, let me know in the comment section. Say, hey, Chris, yeah, this is really better. I think this works better for what we're doing here on my channel. Some of you might say, no, Chris, we're better off just doing it by eye, getting, just that regular feel of just drawing from using our vision to try to capture, I'm not sure what everyone out there is really feeling is the best way to go all the time. I use both the rulers and things like that, as well as just using my eyes and my vision. But you let me know. You're the artist out there. Please, you're the artist out there. Let me know in the comment section. Feel free to leave comments and say, hey, I like scaling things with the ruler. It works out better. That's all you have to do is let me know, and I'll do more of using the ruler and scaling things out. So we have our outside corner of the building here, perfectly situated here on our paper. We have the ground level perfectly set at 1/4 above the bottom of our painting. We have our doorway now, which is going to be darks with our paint. Now we're going to get in some windows. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 windows alongside this doorway over here. I think that'll look good. So, but before I do that, let's make some ornamentation around the door. So what I'll do is I'll make some pilasters or some fluted piers here. So I'm going to make you can kind of see, I'm going to make 2 like columns or piers that are going to be trim alongside the door. Then I'm going to make another line, the same thickness as the 2 on both sides. Then I'm going to go up and make another line on top of that. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a center mark here on this doorway. And the easy way to do this is just find the center of the doorway. So I'm going to go here with my ruler and say this door is 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. So that means 1/2 of an inch is going to be the center mark of the door. Or it's going to be about 1.2 centimeters. And then I'm going to take that center mark and just transfer that up a little bit higher, and we're going to make a gable roof here, on little gable roof over the entryway here, like that. So we're going to make a gable roof over the top of the entry of the door, like that. Simple enough. And I'm going to maintain that line like this, like that. That might be too big, so I'm going to take my eraser and I'll use this as the roof line up here. This will be my roof line for that gable, and then we'll use this here as the trim underneath the roof area there of this gable roof there. So you can kind of see I'm just sort of making a bit of a roof on top of that doorway there. So if you can imagine, it's basically like a triangle on top of a doorway, essentially. And I'll go over this with a darker line. Now that we have the ruler that we use to scale everything, now you can see that I'm going to do this in a darker pencil line, so you can like that. There we go. Now that I do that a little darker, before we start painting, I am going to use a little bit of an eraser to lighten up those lines, but don't worry about it right now. We don't need to kind of focus on that. Now I'm going to take the ruler and make some windows over here. Now these windows on the left side of this doorway, I'm not going to really get too critical with these. I'm just going to make one about 2 centimeters or about 1 inch away from this door over here, this doorway. And then it's going to be about let me just scale this again for you. 2.5 centimeters high. The window is 2.5 centimeters high, or 1 inch high, approximately, by 3/4 of an inch wide, or 2 centimeters wide. That's the windows. Both windows will be the same size. So if you jot down those two measurements for the window, so you can jot that down on a scrap piece of paper or whatever you have next to you. Inch and a we're going to go with 3/4 of an inch wide by 1 inch tall. Or if you're using metric, you're going to go 2 centimeters wide for the window by 2.5 centimeters high for the window. And you'll do the same size window next to this one, right next to it. But you'll leave, about 1/2 centimeter of space in between. Or actually a full 2 centimeters of, almost 2 centimeters of space between them, like that. And then we have it. And I'll just do another one here like this, by eye. I know now you have it written down. You have it down perfectly. You know the size of your windows now. And then I'm just going to make some shutters next to the windows, like this. You see I'm doing some loose shutters, like that. They don't have to be perfect. I wouldn't do them perfect. If you wanted to know what the size of the shutters are, not a problem. I'm telling you, 1 centimeter wide is the shutters on these windows, and they're the same height as the windows. Or if you're looking at using the standard it's 1/4 inch wide for the shutters. And I'm not going to make them perfect, but there you have it. Okay. Now over here, I'm going to have the same thing, but I'm only going to have 1 window versus 2. So we have 2 windows over here. Let's make the same size window over here. And we're going to make it right about in the center of the wall here. And we're going to go again and say 2 centimeters wide. And about middle of the wall. It doesn't have to be perfect. 2 centimeters wide or 3/4 of an inch wide. Like that. And at this point too, you can also take your T-square, which is really handy. You could take your T-square and just put it across the whole paper, and then you don't even really need to measure the bottom of the window. You just go like that. Bottom of the window's there. Top of the window is here. That's going to stay the same. Then you just have to get the width of it. Like that. And then you know your shutters were going to be about the same. We're going to use the for the 1 centimeter for the shutters. There's going to be trees in front of this window, so we're not going to be too fussy with this, but you can kind of see that's 1 centimeter wide for the shutters. All right, look how good that looks. So we have that completed so far. Our doorway into the building, our beautiful windows next to that. We're going to have windows on the second story too, up top. And I might make those windows a little bit above the top of that peak of that gable roof over the top of that doorway. So I'm going to go with a light pencil line just above, actually right at the top of that point. So right at the tippy point of that gable roof there over that doorway, we're going to make the bottom of these windows on the second floor. So let's go across with a light pencil line like that. And that's going to be our second floor windows. And then we're just going to transfer those windows up this way. We're going to make them directly above these windows, exactly the same. So that means you can just use your T-square or a regular ruler if you want to, and just keep them somewhat the same. And you can kind of transfer your marks right up like that. So you can kind of see how that works. You transfer your lines up like that, and then you just get the height. And we said that was 2 centimeters. Double check it. 2.5 centimeters. 2.5 centimeters there. Once you get this one there, then you can just go across like this with the T-square. Get it lined up with that line there. And that's the top of your window and shutters right there. And we have that bottom line already set up. Perfect. See, that really works out great. All right, you know what? I'm going to take a quick break now, but you can kind of see how we're putting all this together. So we've got the doorway on the building here, our beautiful apartment building, 2 windows on this side, 1 window over here, and then we're just going to make these same windows above on the top, and then we're going to add 1 more window up here above this. So you're going to see how we're going to finish up our drawing with 1, 2, and 3 more windows, and then once we do 3 more windows, that's it. We're done. We have everything planned out here perfectly. And from there on out, we're going to just do our painting. And we're going to do some beautiful trees and bushes and light, exciting looking information on this. And again, this is really, we're going to key in on using our ruler, our T-square ruler mostly. If you can get a T-square ruler, you will absolutely thank me for it, because you can really get through a pencil drawing on for doing architecture like buildings and homes and houses and things like that, structures. You can really zip right through a drawing with this type of ruler really beautifully with the block paper that we're using, which is that thick block paper from Arches. I'm using the Arches rough. Again, it's the orange. There's also the Arches. You can use This is the other block paper I use quite frequently. This is the pink, which is the satin paper. So this is Arch's satin paper, which is the very, very, the paper is super smooth. So we did another painting here just recently, but these are the block papers, and they're great. You can kind of see the block papers, they're thick. Like this, they're thick. And when you're done doing a painting, you just take this and you use a small pen knife here. And you go right around and just trim off your painting like that. Right around the outside edge. Always trim away from yourself like that. And then you have a brand new sheet of paper, and there's about 25 sheets of paper, I think, on these block papers. And again, I'm using the orange one for this painting. And this is the pink, which is the satin paper. So this is rough paper, satin paper, Arches paper. I use usually Arches or Fabriano paper. Those are the two best papers you can buy. You can use anything though. I use to save money, I use the Studio Watercolor by Fabriano. That's a great paper too. It comes in big, large pads. You'll see that. It's like a purple or blue cover. You can find those online. The Fabriano Studio Watercolor, it's called, and great watercolor paper as well. So those are the really main papers I use all the time. All right, so let me take a quick break, and we'll get right back into this here. We'll finish up our windows, and then we'll start painting. All right, so we're moving right along here. What I'll do is I'll transfer these two windows up here because we're going to create two windows, again, up above here on the second floor of this building. So what I'll do is I'll just take these lines and just transfer them up. And we already have the bottom of the window here. So we know the bottom of our windows on the second floor are all going to be the same as this right here. This window, we first established this one over on this side. And then we also know that the tops of the windows are going to be over here. So if we use our T-square, we can just go right across like so. The T-square is right on the edge of our block paper. And then I'll just transfer that over this way. Really light pencil line there just so I have and then another pencil line over here because we're making another window here right above this peak of this ridge of this roof right here. All right, so there we go. We're going to do that. Then we're going to take this and transfer these window lines, the jambs of these windows here. We're going to put those jambs right up top. So I'm going to use the bottom of the paper with my T-square. And we have the bottom line now lightly sketched in, so we know where the bottom is and the top. And we know where we're going to just transfer these up here. The same line of the jamb of the window there. Same thing here. Jamb of the window there. Jamb of the window here. Then we know we can just transfer up this line for the shutters there. We have a shutter here. We have another shutter here. And another shutter this side of the window there. So now we have it. Perfect. We have our windows set up here, our shutters, and then we'll get one more window here. Let's make it the same size. That's going to be, again, 3/4 of an inch or 2 centimeters from this center line here. So I'm going to have to center that. So again, here it might be easier to use centimeters. We said it was 2 centimeters, so we go 1 centimeter each side of the center line there. 1 centimeter that way, 1 centimeter this way is 2 centimeters. And that's the width of the window. And then we can just make the window. Again, we use our T-square there, bring down the lines like that. Like that. And then we have, again, the shutters are approximately 1 centimeter. So we'll do 1 centimeter each side of the window. And then we can just put in our shutters like that. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we have all of our windows in, our main doorway into the building. And then from this point on, we're really ready to paint. The only thing we can do maybe is just a few more details. Maybe we'll put in the the window panes, so and some shutters too, or some I should say shades. So we're going to put some shades in the window interior, so people have shades in the interior of their windows on some of these windows. So let's say we'll make one over here like 3/4 of the way. We'll make one a little bit up here, maybe a little bit like almost halfway. We'll make a shade here and a shade here, and that's going to all be white. You could put a W really lightly in there, W and a W for white. And this is going to be dark, so you can kind of do a little shading in there, so you know this is going to be dark colors, like really, really dark black, blue, red, all mixed together to get really dark tonal value in this section of the window. And then we're going to do some shading, of course, on these shutters. I mean, on the shades. But let's do the I'm just doing some window panes on these, like that. Now this over here, it's going to be all dark. We're going to have a lot of trees over here, and we're not going to see this window too much. Same with this one over here too. So this whole window is going to be kind of dark. This window, we're going to have maybe a curtain there on the one side of that window. And then maybe over here we're going to do maybe the same thing over here. We're going to do a shade there, and maybe this one too. We're going to do all dark. And this one here. And we'll use the and I'll just put in lightly, pencil line in just a few window panes to rough those in a little bit. Those you can just do randomly. You don't have to worry about measuring any of those window panes. You just do a little bit of cross hatching in there for your window panes. Just here and there, just do them randomly. Don't fuss around too much with them. We did most of our critical windows measurements. That's the most important thing. And okay, so we're really all set now. Next thing we're going to do is let's just get some trees in here. So what I'll do is I'll put a tree over here, and I'm just going to go up like this on the side, and then I'll drift over this way with a branch this way. We'll use our brushes to put these in. So essentially, we're not going to be, we're just putting some pencil lines in just to let us know this is where we're going to put our tree and some of the branches, like this. However, we're going to paint in with our brush all the branches and everything, so we're not going to fuss around too much. And over here, we're going to do another tree back here. Again, we're going to paint these in with our brush, but I just want to get a rough estimate of where that's going to be. That other tree here, like that. So we're going to have a larger tree here. This is the corner of the building, like that. And then we're going to have some bushes over here, like this. And again, I'm just roughing in some bushes, just some lines, some just some lines to indicate bushes over here. Like that. Then over here, I'm going to have another tree. This one's going to come up this way, right up off the page. Like that. And we're going to do some fencing. So I'm going to do some fence posts here. Loosely, I'm not really getting into too much detail. Just some okay, so you can kind of see I'm just putting in these fence posts very loosely, not measuring anything, just basically straight lines randomly. They don't have to be evenly spaced or anything like that, just roughing them in. We'll do most of the work with our brush at this point. So everything now is going to be mostly brushwork. And I'll just do some dark shading where I think I'm going to put some really, really dark darks. We already did that over here in the windows, so we know where the windows are going to be dark. Okay. All right, perfect. And then here we're going to have a little bit of a sidewalk here coming in to the apartment building with some stone walkways. Just some loose gestures for stonework, like that. Basically, I'm just taking lines and making them, and then as they go to the right and left of the center of the door, they get a little bit of an angle to them. And that kind of looks like bricks or stone. And then this will be grass and things like that, and some shadows. The light, I think we're going to make the I think the light is going to be coming from the top of the painting, sort of like over the front of the building. So we'll see how it works out, but I think we have everything all set now. So let's take another break and we'll get our paints ready. So I'm going to take my palette, give it a quick spritz of some water, like this, just to get the paints moist again. I did do that before we started. And we're ready to paint now. So let's, I'm going to use my paint brushes that we normally use for our extreme beginners. And that's going to be the brush that comes with the prang set, this brush here, which is a round brush. Then we're going to use a Princeton Art and Brush Company flat brush there. Another flat brush, Princeton and Art Brush Company. It's a number 6 flat brush and a 5/8 inch flat brush there. This comes with the Schmincke palette, really nice round brush, travel brush, number 5 size brush, round brush, synthetic brush. And I'll use my synthetic brush too, maybe a little bit, which is my Simply Simmons number 9 round synthetic brush. So these are all synthetic brushes, perfect for doing more of a beginner style painting where you want to have not too much water flowing around on the painting. And in your palette, you want to kind of use synthetic brushes, which will kind of keep you on track with really good washes and not flooding out your paper too much with too much water. So that's going to help a lot. So let's use these brushes. And perfect again, the flat brushes are perfect for the windows. And then for the trees, we can use some of the round brushes, and the flat brushes work for the trees too. And then the round brushes are great for the limbs of the trees. So the limbs of the trees and the branches, the round brushes here. And then the windows and the doorway, perfect for the square flat brushes like this. All right, we'll get started painting in just a second. All right, before I paint, I will do a little bit of a lifting up of some lines. With my kneaded eraser, I'm just going to lift up a few lines here and there. And then the next thing we're going to we're going to use the glazing technique to do this painting. So we're going to do a light wash over the whole entire painting first. And then once that dries 100%, then we're going to go back and do our darker darks. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my, this is actually the largest I have of my Princeton Art and Brush Company synthetic brushes. This is a 1-inch flat brush. So we're going to use this with fresh clean water. So I'm using fresh clean water. I've rinsed out my water bucket really well. And then I'm just going to take this water and just use a cross strokes like this, X strokes, and just cover the whole paper with a light wash of water, not too much, just to kind of dampen the paper. That's all we want to do. And I wouldn't use a lot of water. I would just dampen basically the paper. And it doesn't have to be every single square inch of the paper. You just kind of just work it on there a little bit here and there, pretty much over everything, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's fine, plenty good. Then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to keep it a simple color scheme. We're going to go with brown, a touch of black up here, and brown here. So we're going to make this brown with a touch of black, black up here, good solid black up there. Then here we're going to go with just some more of that black and brown that's left in the brush, and then get in some orange over here. So we have sort of a warm kind of a feel there. And I'll just take that extra paint and roll that off the brush, rinse off my brush a little bit, and then we'll get a little bit of a cool blue down here, which is sort of like the cerulean blue in this Prang Oval 16 set. That's like our cerulean blue, we call it. And then there's some French ultramarine blue here. We'll use some of that. And then even a little bit of purple with that French ultramarine blue. And I think that gives us a good array of colors for our first wash. What I do is I rinse off my brush, again with water, dry off a little bit of the water with my tissue here. I don't want a brush flooded with water. I want to go into the palette now with like a damp brush only, like this. Then I can just grab this paint like so. We're going to leave out, I think I'm going to do this more or less horizontal strokes, but also crosshatch too, I would say. Crosshatching and then I'm going to strategically leave some lights. So maybe here I lift up a little bit of the paint with my tissue. I forgot, I should have left this a little light there by the entry here. And I'll go in again, and we'll get some, again, we're doing some darks. You can kind of blot up a little bit if you have to. We're going to leave this area really bright white paper, so the edge of the building is going to be dark, like that. But we leave this light over here. And then maybe in the back there's some kind of structure back there, we don't know. Or maybe some bushes or something. And then over here, okay, and then we're going to get some blue in there too. And purple too. Like that. But again, I'm going to say let's leave some lights there in the windows. Like that. You can lift up some light here and there. And that gives you like the illusion of some light splashing across that facade of this building. And I think that really will make you happy to be able to use that tissue or that paper towel to blot up a little bit and kind of lift up some paint, kind of, do some lifting, some creative kind of things with your tissue or your paper towel. And then even for our ground here, we're going to do some brush strokes there, some and again some blue. We want some warm and cool everywhere. We don't want to have and I'm going to leave light here on the bottom of the painting too. I like that look. Or maybe some light splashing across the ground in the front of the painting. So we do want to leave some of that light. You can kind of see that. We're leaving some of that lighter white paper while we're doing our first wash here. And again, we wanted some warm and cool colors, so we used some of the orange and brown and black across the whole painting. Then we use some blue, some of that light blue, the cerulean blue. I guess I could call that like more of a turquoise kind of blue, and as well as the French ultramarine style blue with a little bit of purple. We tried to mix a little bit of all of this into the light first wash that we're doing. And this is, let's have a creative and fun time doing this painting. And this is a fun painting you can do over and over again and have a good time practicing different techniques of, light and blotting up some lights here and there. But I think you're going to have great results with this because we've really taken our time to get the structure really, really nicely done. And then we'll go with a little bit of shadow under there. You can use a smaller brush now. I might shift over to this medium size, which is the 5/8 inch flat brush, and then we can come over here and do a little bit of shadowing under here, like that. And we're going to come back in with darker darks even yet. This is just the start. We're going to get some really beautiful darks. You saw the painting in the beginning of the video, so no worries. We're going to kind of get some really beautiful darks into this painting, just like we're doing now. But what I want to do really is make sure that we let this dry. I'm sort of working maybe in the danger zone of the paper's damp still from that first wash we just did. And we usually say when we're doing the glazing technique, you definitely want to have the paper 100% dry before you go in and start doing the darker darks over the top. So let's do that. I just wanted to do this first doorway here and just kind of experiment a little bit. You can work when the paper's damp, but it's a little more difficult. So let's do this. Let's let this dry 100%. You can use a blow dryer to blow dry off this paper right now, or you can let it dry a couple hours or so while you're maybe doing some errands or doing some things that you have to do. But I would say now's a perfect time to let this dry 100%. So let's do that. And then I'll come right back after we use the blow dryer here, and we'll start working on our darker washes now. And you'll see how everything really starts to come together, come to life with the beautiful darks here. Once we get this light wash on first, it really sets the stage. And then once we'll go in and do our darks, you're going to see how beautiful everything just comes to life. So let's I'll be right back, and we'll start with the darks. All right, so now we're going to continue on with our darks. So I'm going to take some more of that black, put that up here. We're going to do some brown and black here. Orange here. We're going to kind of stick with the same kind of colors we were using. We want some cool colors here. That's actually the blue and purple here. And then we have that cerulean type blue there. Kind of like a turquoise. Okay, and there's not a lot of water in here. You can see this is really just a little bit of water, but mostly paint. So there's not a lot of puddles in here at all. There's no puddles in here at all, actually, or very little. It's mostly all straight paint. That's how you get our darks really looking good in this painting. So I'm going to start on the left side because I'm right-handed, so I can work my way across this way, across the painting as I'm going. If you're left-handed, you would just start over here and work your darks over this way, and then just work to the left. So I'll start with this side over here, and I'm going to do some washes over here. And since we have trees and things, I'm not going to be too worried about neatness at all. And again, this is a fun painting. We're just doing some really kind of fun scrubbing on of paints and things. There's shutters here. You don't want to put them in perfectly. And also some of the shutters we're going to do like this. You can use either a round brush or you can use the edge of your square brush for the shutters. You can even use a smaller brush here, like this, to get some of these. Like that. You can make your window panes with a smaller square brush like this, so you have all the creativity you want. And then over here, yeah, this is all dark over here. And there's some branches. I just want to add in some branches, kind of tie them in like that. Shutters there. Then over here we have that dark there, and then we have the white shutter behind the shutters behind the, or I should say the not the blinds. Shades. When I'm painting, I have a hard time recalling things accurately really fast, but these would be the shades, the white shades on the interior of the building. Like that. And there's going to be darks here and there for bushes and things, so you can tie them right into the windows. You'll see how this works out, but this is going to be fun. We're going to do some, these are the some stones that are on the tops of the windows, some headstones like that. I can just do those quick with this flat brush like that. And then here too, like that. And there's also some sills, some window sill stones. Those might be a little smaller. I might have to find, well, we could use a round brush for the sill stones on the bottom. Like that. So if you can imagine, you're painting the underpainting right now. As you go through this portion right now, you're kind of doing the underpainting. So you have your windowsills underneath the windows, and then eventually we're going to do all the bushes and trees and limbs and branches. They're going to kind of like cover everything. But for right now, we're just setting kind of the stage for the underside of everything. And I'm just going quick for the shutters. You can do the shutters, both this way and this way with your brush strokes up and down and side to side. Again, over here you're going to see lots of tree branches and things, so you're not going to see too much of that. And I'll go this way with this one here. Like that. So you can imagine it's just now I'm going to add some lighter wash here. And I'll use a little bit of paper towel, dry off my brush a little bit. I don't want to have it too much. And we'll do some shade here. And this is the shade there. That looks pretty good. Then we can start doing some more details here. We're going to do some fluted details on these columns. So that just means that there's some small carvings on these pillars here, these columns on the front doorway there. So I just want to do that, get a little bit of detail there. And then maybe a few more bits of detail here, there, and everywhere. That might be some siding there. And then there's some more shade there. A little bit of shade under there. All right, so we're just kind of building up some layers of washes, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to get some of these stone indications of some stone, bluestone maybe, some bluestone walkway here in the front of this building. Like that. That's all we need is a suggestion of it, and that's perfect. And then what we'll do is we'll take another break, and after the break we're just going to get in the trees, some of the foliage on the trees and the fence, and a little bit of shadowing, and I think we'll be all set. This will be a complete painting. I'm going to try to you can also do some scratching sometimes. You can also use some white paint here and there. If we need to, at the end of the painting, we can use some titanium white with a little bit of yellow ochre in there, or orange, just to do some highlights and things like that, maybe to recapture some lights that we might want to have in the painting. But you'll see now we're really, the next step is, again, the really super dark darks for the tree limbs, the trunks of the trees, some of the foliage, the bushes, the fencing, and a little bit of maybe foreground shadowing, things like that. And again, that'll be the majority of everything we need to do to finish this painting. So we'll be right back. And again, if you haven't subscribed, I always mention that if you really like this channel, you like my painting, what we do here, it's real simple. You just hit the subscribe button on the right-hand side below. You'll also see some bells when you click subscribe, and that just means you can be notified when my new videos come out. So all you do is you click the all notifications, and that means each time we make a new video here on my channel, you're going to see it. It'll just pop into your YouTube homepage. So the next time you come onto YouTube and you're looking to do some painting and some drawing in watercolor, you'll see my videos. YouTube just has a great way of kind of bringing you the most whatever your favorite artists are on YouTube, when you subscribe and you click notifications, that's just going to alert you to the new videos that are coming out from your favorite artists. So if you really are enjoying this experience here and you're having a great time drawing and painting with us, that's all you have to do is you hit subscribe and you hit all notifications, and that's it. It's not going to, there's no other, there's no emails or text messages or phone calls. I know these days there's a lot of people, calling, strange people calling, and text messages and emails coming into our phones and our house phones and our cellular phones, and it's nothing like that at all with YouTube. All YouTube does is they want you to be alerted to your favorite content that you like on YouTube. So if you're liking my channel and you like to see all of the work that we're doing here and you want to follow along on a constant basis, if you hit the subscribe button, that's all it does is just keep you aware of each new week when we're coming out with new videos. You'll see those. You'll be alerted that we've made a new video, and you can check it out and watch it and see if you want to follow along or just maybe watch, or if you're going to jump in and paint along and draw along with us here on our tutorials. Okay, just wanted to make you aware of that. If you haven't done, if you're not, if you're kind of new here to YouTube or you're new to watching art videos, the subscribe button is a real key thing to do if you want to stay in contact and be following along with us. All right, so let's take a quick break and we'll come right back and we'll finish up this painting. All right, so we're getting back into our painting here, and we're going to use some of our brushes that we were talking about before. I'm going to use probably these two round brushes, the Simply Simmons number 9 and the number 5 Da Vinci travel brush, which is synthetic, and that comes with the Schmincke palette, which I use often here on this channel. So what I'm going to do is I'll just describe what I'm going to do here for the tree trunks. The tree trunks are going to be really dark, so I'm going to go with some black up here. And I want to isolate this black because it's really super strong. So I get that black up here, and I don't use much water at all. You can kind of see that's not a puddle up there. That's really just straight paint, honestly. So that's the key to this type of watercolor. Your really juicy, watery washes are your first wash that you do over the whole painting when you first start. So when we first started, that's what we did. We got that beautiful light wash over the whole paper, light, beautiful warms and cool colors, lots of water. We wet the paper first. That's the time when you're using lots of water. Now when we're going over with our secondary glazings, our secondary washes, the paper's dry and we're using hardly any water, just mostly straight paint right from the palette. And I go in and I get some brown here. And again, no water, just I'm mixing a damp brush basically. You can see there's no puddles in there at all. Straight paint. Sometimes you have to add a little touch of water, so I might add a little touch of water there, but hardly any. And then orange here, we want to stick with the same colors we used before, orange and the brown mixed in there. And then I can rinse off my brush and then grab some of the blue here. That's good. Enough there's actually enough here in the palette that we don't have to really add too much. And there's some more blue there and purple. All right, that's plenty. So again, you can kind of see we didn't change our colors. We're only using 4 or 5 colors. So we use black up here, brown here, with a little bit of blacks mixed into that a little bit, and then the orange here with a little bit of the brown mixed in there. And then here you have the light blue, which is the cerulean blue here. And again, we mix, the brush, when we're mixing our colors, if you have a little bit of the brown and orange here in this blue, that works out good, that's fine. But mostly you can see it's definitely mostly blue, but there is a little bit of the other mixtures in there, that's fine. And then the purple and the darker blue, which is kind of like the cerulean blue and purple down here for our darkest blue, our darkest cool colors. So basically it's warm and cool colors. Warm colors up here, the earth tones, the browns and the oranges, and the black is kind of like a neutral color. It's not really a color, black is black. And then we have blue, and we have the purple and darker blue, again, French ultramarine blue, purple, and then again we have the cerulean blue, which is kind of like a turquoise blue there. And that's really the basic same colors we've been using for the whole painting, and that's all we really need. So now we're just going to go in, use our Simply Simmons, and I'm going to get the trunk of this tree going here, like this, and I'm just going to get the branches going up here, having fun with it. Then I'll hold my brush up higher like this, up high on the handle, and try to get some of those more realistic looking branches. That looks pretty good. Let's see here, up like that. Okay, and then we're going to come over here and do the same thing. Okay, these are the thicker branches. And then what I will do is thicken this up a little bit down here. And that should be good. All right, now that I have that completed, which is the kind of larger, thicker trunks and branches of these trees, then we can actually, I often mention, I use a needlepoint brush. And if you can see the shape of that needlepoint brush, you see how pointy it is? It's like, it's super pointy, and that's perfect for the finer branches. So that's where I'll go in and we will get some of these more fine-tuned branches here. Look how great that looks, you know. Those are the really fine branches of the trees here. So these needlepoint brushes are really kind of key to getting the realistic look of the branches. Like that. Now, after we have that, we're going to take the Simply Simmons brush again here, and we're going to mix all these three, the blacks and also the blues, so the blacks and the blues, and then we're going to take the brush on the side like this and kind of scrub like this. And what that does is it gives us a dry brush kind of feel. So we're not flooding the paper with lots of water at all. We're just using straight paint basically with a damp brush. And we're getting all of these beautiful darks here. And we're going to get the bushes in here too. So I'm going to actually sort of really loosely, kind of just so you can see I'm scrubbing in the darks here. And there's some bushes over here too that are right next to the... This is the fun part of watercolor. When you're doing a painting like this, you're just kind of using circular motions with your brush. Dry brushing. You're not really using a lot of water, using actually hardly any water at all. You're just having basically a damp brush with straight paint, with a little bit of dampness to your paint, so that enough that you can get it on the paper. But that's about it. And once you kind of get that feel, you won't be I'll make a really good dark back here, right in the... Like that. That looks good. A nice dark over there. And then we have some... This is sort of like a black and white painting, or a sepia kind of tone painting. Then I'll dampen my brush with some water and get the black and the brown, some more orange, blue. So I'll just mix up some more paint. Purple, same colors. You can do some straight up strokes like this. And again, up here, you're doing the circular motions, hardly any water at all, just basically paint. No water, just paint with a damp brush. And then you get that beautiful, light-looking foliage on the trees. And you can do some small bits of leaves and things. These will be the fine points of I'd make this up here a little darker. Like that. And I really think that is about it for the upper areas. And I splash on a little bit too, some paint, splash on some paint. I get it a little bit thinner now. Now I'll add a little bit more water. You can kind of see that's a little bit thicker. That's a little thinner now, making the paint a little thinner, because to splash you need a little bit thinner, but it's not too much water, just, a little extra water. And then I'll splash on, which gives me that kind of feel of light leaves and things like that, like very, very... And I'll get that everywhere pretty much. A couple of the texture to the painting. There we go. I will use my so we can do a few lines with our needlepoint brush again. And then I'll go and get the really, really super, super dark lines for the panes of the window. that. And a little bit of extra water. Black, brown, blue. And then I'll do the fences here. And these I do quickly. I'm not going to really get too fussy with details with these fences. Okay. And maybe I'll make this a little bit thicker. So as you go, you can actually change your painting by just painting things. Like this one here, this tree here, I just went with a thicker trunk because I started to make branches coming out this way, and I needed to make it larger, the tree itself, the trunk, so that's not a problem. You can just add more volume to your tree and just make it a larger tree as you go if you tend to think you need to do something like that. You have the liberty, you're the artist. You can do things like that. You're in control. And then I think the final thing we need to do would be just to get some ground, some more shadowing on the ground areas. I think the shadowing is, I think it's kind of high. I'll use some of the orange here to make some marks on the ground here. I don't want to go too much color there though. And a little bit of shadowing. There's trees all around this front of this building, so we could just have some mystery shadows. And I think that's about it. I think this is really fine the way it looks. It's kind kind of looks very loose, very free looking, not too many finished details. We kind of got everything we needed to get in. The painting completed. We didn't, again, fuss over details and things like that. And you could take a few more details like that. A couple more splashes. And I think this is a really good finished painting. Maybe I can just get a little more detail on the outside corner here of the building. I want to make sure I get that outside corner of the building looking good. Perfect. See, this way you really can see that's the end wall of the building, the outside corner, and then you can see beyond. So you kind of feel like you're seeing beyond the building. You're seeing behind the building almost over here, which is an interesting kind of feel. It gives the painting a three-dimensional quality, like that. So you almost feel like you can go into the painting, maybe you can go into the building, into the door. Perhaps you can come around over here somewhere and you can go behind the building around the side. So I think that's really good to have that kind of feel, like you almost feel like you can go around the building too as well. Thank you so much for joining me. We've had a lot of fun here, and we're going to do a lot more paintings just like this. And again, please leave comments in the comments section. Let me know if you like these type of paintings, especially the way we started out with a more of a kind of formal, strict design with using measurements and rulers and things like this. Let me know if that's something that you like. I'll do more of these type of videos. Architecture is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Street scenes and architecture, buildings, homes, houses. This type of painting is really something that I really tremendously enjoy. So we'll see you on the next video. Take care.